Hi, take three. This is Yehudis Schamroth, Wellness Wednesdays, nurse anesthetist and acupuncturist from Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel. Thank you for joining me, and check my YouTube channel if you want to see previous recordings of all kinds of other health topics, wellness topics, things I've discussed over the last year and a half. I had a couple technical difficulties. I'm hoping I can continue now. And I want to continue to discuss and start discussing again, what is energy healing? Okay, here we go. That's lovely. Okay, I can share the screen now. It's so good. Okay. What is energy medicine? What is energy healing? How do we use this method? Do we believe in this method? Do we want to use it? When do we use it? This kind of questions I'm going to answer today, I hope. So, coming from a medical perspective, I've always been a little bit curious about this topic. I've come to believe over the years that, of course, moving from my Western medical model to my Eastern medical model and using the method somewhere in between, which is alternative medicine combined with Western medicine. They both work together. There are no inconsistencies. There are no contradictions. They should be and could be used together all the time, whatever the medical issue is. But energy medicine was something I was never that educated about, and I really was a little skeptical about, because what is energy medicine anyway? It's a woo-woo, wave your hands over somebody. How can you heal someone like that? How can you heal somebody from a distance? How do you invoke the body's own energy to do so? Things that I just wasn't aware of. So until I was a little more open-minded and I did some educating myself about it. So we do know that it's a much more popular choice of helping people heal and even preventing people from getting illnesses now. As it's changed some, even though it's a thousands-year-old practice, it's just now becoming, not just now, but for many years now, for the last 10 or 15 years, it's become much more prevalent in the Western medical model and Eastern medical model as well. And we're all very familiar with treating diseases even now with chiropractor and acupuncture, hypnosis, biofeedback, homeopathy, and things like that. But yet the energy medicine is something that eludes a lot of us as to what it is and how does it work. And we know for what many years Western medicine outright rejected this, of course, that how could you have such a thing as biochemical or electrical field healing? But we do know we use electrical. Our body is electric. Our body is completely full of energy on every single level and electricity on every single level. We know that energy medicine is something that we can tap into for healing, because our own bodies on the cellular level, every function that takes place is an electrical activity, electrical electrical properties, electrical molecules moving, chemical reactions happening. We just have to learn how to harness this, and we use a lot of this with our intention in our mind, in our hands. We know that the body is completely based on biophysics, and physics is something we need to learn in order to understand biochemistry or energy medicine too. We're very familiar with the EKG, electrocardiogram. It's all electrical. We're very familiar with the electroencephalogram to read brain waves. We know that's electrical. We don't have a question about that. So how do we harness these electrical waves on a cellular level to help us heal? Just without getting too technical, our whole human body is controlled primarily by physics, and that drives the chemistry and biology in our body. So therefore, to understand how the body works, it's important to understand these physics and electrical applications of our cellular structure. Now, this is not going to be that kind of lecture of learning a lot about electrical structure, but I can tell you that in studying muscles and every cell of the body, there's something called an action potential. And we do know that if you took one cell and you put an electrode in it, you would find out that there are definitely voltages of energy potential. There's potential energy, and there's the maximum it can go to. It can come back down again to rest. So every time there's something excited in the body, whether it's on a muscle or whether it's in an organ or in your brain or anywhere, every single cell has this exact kind of reaction to stimulation. And we know it's electrical. It has to be, because that's been studied, and we know that this is how we get our EKGs, our EEGs, and how we get a shock when we touch each other when we're walking around. Again, this is not going to be a lecture about biochemistry and physics, but we do know that on a cellular level, we can measure this. And minus 70 millivolts is what the resting potential is. It's not important for us, but we do know if we don't have the right amount of minerals and vitamins in our body, this does not work. If we don't have enough fluid, we have to have the right balance of sodium and potassium in particular. And that's a lot of physics and a lot of biochemistry to study, which if for anybody's interested, I'd love to go through one time because it is so fascinating. And we know that the body's pH is about 7.5, and that has to have that gives us the right voltage, the setup for the right voltage of a proper electrical activity in our body. Okay, so we just not to focus on the cellular voltages too much, but we just know that this is very based in science. So why would anybody question energy healing when we know our body is the body? Sing the body electric. Wasn't that a beautiful song in the 1970s? So we do know when it comes to things like touch therapy, we have got a lot of protocols in place to help balance energy, and we just probably didn't realize it as such. It's called polarity therapy. It's called healing touch. We have other modalities called Reiki, cranial sacral therapy. There's a lot of things that I'm going to mention just 2 or 3 of them because I'm not an expert at this, but I do know a little bit about some of them. And we do know that the body has to in order to have healing, we can access our healing from inside or outside the body. You can do it from a distance. We can have health maintained. We can improve our immune systems, and we can cell regeneration. Everything by energy healing, which is something that again was kind of a surprise to me, although I guess I've known it all along. So I do want to talk about the therapies a little bit, just to define energy medicine though, before we talk about Reiki, a little bit more about energy medicine. Okay. All right. We know that energy medicine is a subtle. We subtly move the energy fields of the body, and we unblock blockages. We treat energetic imbalances, in other words. And so we can bring the body's respiratory system, neurological system, cardiovascular system, skeletal, endocrine, back to homeostasis with energy balancing. The knowledge of this has been studied extensively, and this continues to be studied. And we do know that if there's a certain vibration that goes on in the body that if when it's out of balance can cause illness, and when it's put back into balance by touch or by electrical activity or by even intention, we know that meditation, which I'm going to do a session on at one point in the future, meditation alone can change your health and change your mindset. Not just your mindset, but it can calm you and help you relax and sleep, but it can actually improve your health greatly. And this is part of the same kind of energy medicine that we talk about, is that it's got a lot of mindfulness, a lot of intention to it. And we have to focus on the fact that our bodies are electric, and we can control that to a certain degree. You know, you can't cure all illnesses like with this, but you can't cure all illnesses with Western medicine or even acupuncture and herbal medicine either. We have to find the right technique. And also it's very much in addition to all those other things at times. If people have breast cancer, there are studies that talk about how the breast cancer cells have shrunk after energy medicine. There are studies that talk about people's immune system improves greatly. Their muscular system improves greatly. It just depends on what kind of practitioner you go to or what you're trying to achieve. The nervous system, of course, everything's based in the nervous system. And this is what I tell people about acupuncture all the time, that you can think about acupuncture as a brain treatment, because the pockets of energy where we put the needles will release a certain amount of blockage in that area, and it goes to the brain and says, okay, brain, wake up. We're going to heal this area now. And again, it's a little bit oversimplified explanation, but I do feel like that this is what's going on. When I give somebody acupuncture, I'm giving them energy treatment. I'm giving them a nervous system treatment. We're waking up the brain. We do know, everybody knows, like what they should know, that the body is well aware of healing itself, well capable of it. When we cut ourselves, we look back a week later, where do we cut ourselves in our hand? We know our livers can regenerate to a certain degree. We know we're growing new skin and new hair every day, and new bones. Our bones grow. We regenerate to a certain degree, and energy medicine is part of that. And we know that while modern medicine focuses primarily on physiology, we do know that there are a lot of mechanisms in our body that are not just physiological and biochemical. They're energy based that we can't see and we can't feel. The different cultures have known this for many, many years. People from India work on the chakra system, and the Chinese and the Japanese, of course, have come up with their own ways of healing that could help control the subtle energies of the body and the vibrations of the body to bring the body to healing. So now it's considered a very valid field of complementary medicine. And we do know we have energy fields all around our bodies, and the flow of them or the lack of flow of them are what causes problems. And we do know even that Einstein demonstrated that matter and energy are interchangeable, and therefore our bodies are energy. So matter then doesn't exist in certain places with certainty, but it has potential to exist. So we know that this can come in a wave, we know it can come in a particle. Again, that's all very physics oriented, but we do know that using modalities like therapeutic touch alone can stimulate the body to heal itself, and through energy vibrations and controlling and moderating and balancing the body's energy systems. So we talked about the EKGs and the EEGs. Okay. And we do know also that various energy systems overlap to support the energy flow and balance in the body. And so we do something called EFT also. It's called emotional freedom technique. It's tapping on the body, tapping on certain meridian points and acupuncture points that helps bring harmony and balances the flow of energy in the body and can release a lot of trauma in the body by doing tapping. There's massaging, there's pinching, there's twisting, there's all kinds of other kind of methods that are very physical. But that's not the only way to get to healing, as we're mentioning here, is that we can do it without even touching the body at all. And I still joke around, and I'm ashamed of myself, but I can tell you that I would go for a massage. And if somebody tried to give me energy massage, I said, no, thank you. I'm going to go to somebody who actually touches my body because I want that massage. So I still feel that way, truthfully, but I also know that if I need energy healing, I will go, and I will have the expectation they probably won't touch me, but they will help me heal. So the good massage therapist will keep that intention in mind. So what you want, and try to do what you need, not what they think you need. Okay, so we do know that they're using this therapy quite often, these therapies, which I'll mention, in everything from preventative situations to hospice care for cancer patients. These kinds of complementary trainings, but they're training people to do this all the time now, because they're finding that even the nurses and the doctors and everybody should really be learning energy healing and to add to their toolkit to help take care of patients. And I'm trying to do that myself, of course. We do know that there's a recent study that says 13% more individuals are using complementary therapies than ever before, and that energy healing is one of those forms of therapy that has increased to the greatest degree. And we know that, again, in the cancer setting, as in particular, we see that the nurses who do healing touch, especially, and energy therapy in general, their patients are doing much, much better. And so we do know that when one intends to whatever you intend to do, whatever you're trying to achieve, you have to aim for it, have the ambition for it. You have to design it properly. You have to have an end goal in mind. It's all very mindful. And we do know that when you have a mindfulness to your action, you usually can accomplish what you're after. I do want to talk about effective energy healing techniques. I don't want to mention them all because there's about 9 of them, and I don't know too many about them, but I do know a little bit about a few of them. So we do know, again, that the energy medicine is based on the belief that vital energy flows through the human body. And the goal of energy healing is to balance that energy flow in the patient. It is used to reduce stress and anxiety and to promote well-being. Energy healing is being studied in patients receiving every kind of therapy, including cancer therapy, as I mentioned, and improves your quality of life and boosts the immune system, and has there are virtually no side effects to it. Energy medicine helps to remove blocks in a similar way that acupuncture and acupressure do. And when I would talk about Reiki in particular, I will talk about that in a minute. Just to mention about it, that Reiki practitioners believe that improving the flow of energy around the body can also enable relaxation, relieve pain. It can speed up your healing and reduce other symptoms of illness. So we're balancing the flow of energy in the body, and in some cases addressing specific illnesses. There are just a couple of facts I found about, I felt that they are factual things that I found about my research about energy medicine. One of them is, as we know, that the universe is composed of molecules that are vibrating all the time. So we want to tap into that to try to heal ourselves with that. The molecules located within our bodies are constantly vibrating and radiating positive and negative, and open and close. And when our organs are misaligned, or when we have illness in our body, that it's usually because there's some kind of blockage in that energy flow. And then you end up with physical ailments like pain, sickness, and disease. So energy medicine has been known to help heal physical and emotional traumas. As I mentioned before, with EFT, it helps release a lot of the trauma in the body, or a lot of depression. You can not just emotional things, but help cure pain and everything. I've seen EFT change so much. I did a session on that on my YouTube channel. You can look. And we do know that our energetic bodies are intertwined with our physical bodies, obviously. So all the traumas we experience, we carry in our physical body as well. And so in order to maintain the health, we want to try to release those blockages in our body because of prolonged stress causes illness. We know that. And when the energies become blocked and from the traumas and the toxins in the air and everything else, we know we will have medical illnesses and emotional disturbances, and we want to release all that. We can know for sure that energy treatment is available to anybody if you can find a practitioner. There's a misconception out there that you need to be a spiritual person in order to be receptive to energy healing, and that's interesting. It's an interesting question that does someone have to believe in this in order to have it work for them? And I have an interview with Ori later on that says no. She says you don't have to believe in it; it just happens. And I feel the same way with acupuncture. People say to me quite often, "Do I have to believe in this in order for it to work?" And I say, "No, it's going to work anyway. You don't have to believe in it. It does work." So. Energy medicine is painless. There are no negative side effects. So during a treatment, all you can have is energy blocks removed. You can't, maybe it won't work for you, but you're not going to be any worse off by trying it. It works for almost every type of healing. You can treat various health conditions. It can complement other forms, as I mentioned, combining with other modalities like acupuncture. Any energy medicine doesn't have to be held alone. You can have massage with it. You can have meditation, all kinds of other things that really help. They all help reinforce each other. So the modalities out there include, of course, Reiki is one of them. Reiki is a healing energy technique that involves a Reiki master. They train many years actually for this. They use a gentle hand movements to guide the flow of energy. And this is where I used to feel like, I don't know how people can do this, because I would try to put my hand over somebody and I wouldn't really understand what they were feeling for, like what are they feeling for? I would really try to understand, and I just kind of gave up on it. But lately, in the last few years of acupuncture my practice of acupuncture, I am feeling people's bodies' energies. I can put my hand on a certain acupuncture point and it jumps out into my hand. It jumps to like a pulse would be in the wrist or the carotid artery. You can feel that pulse. Sometimes I can really feel like a vibration coming from people's bodies. Not everybody. That's interesting. So I'm thinking maybe I could be an energy medicine practitioner as well, because you have to train yourself to feel, to be in the right mindset for it. You can't just go, again, it's a mindfulness that you have to train, you have to understand, you have to practice. It's not just something you can just do and say, oh, this is going to be successful. Like anything, it takes work and understanding and education. So the word Reiki, it comes from two words. It means Rei means God's wisdom, and Ki means energy. So Reiki. So they take the energy with the hand movements and try to channel that energy and try to heal the body by balancing. Again, it's a bit of a mystery, but it seems to work. And there was a study done in the United Kingdom that says the vast majority of reports on the effectiveness of Reiki appear in popular literature all over the place now, much more often than ever before. And one study showed that Reiki can increase hemoglobin and hematocrit levels. And there was just a small study of 50 people, but the people that participated in the Reiki treatments found a significant increase in their hemoglobin and hematocrit levels because they were studying something specific. So interesting about Reiki is that if you want to try it, it can, whatever you're trying to heal, you can. They have done studies and they've proven that the Reiki energy balancing does work. There's something called Pranic Healing. I don't know much about it, but I can just tell you that Pranic Healing, I've seen ads for it on the internet. Pranic Healing is all about using the body's life force to heal the body energy again. And it works specifically with the energy of the body's or the person's aura in their body. And the energy is used to clean toxins from the body and therefore accelerating the healing process. I'm not going to really discuss that because I don't know much about it. And it's not as popular. It may be gaining popularity, truthfully. Something that I know a little bit about, and I know that people participate here in Israel and other areas of the world, is crystal healing, healing with crystals. How does this work? So quite literally, you heal with crystals, and you go to a practitioner who is knowledgeable, and every single stone has potential for healing certain things. So again, I'm not going to mention them by name, but the quartz will do one thing, and I don't even know the names of the stones, but they all have different they function in different for different parts of the body, different parts of illnesses. So to break it down, because crystals are a structure that also, when you look at them at a microscopic level, they seem like they're rock and solid, but they're all vibrating energies at a microscopic level. So because crystals are purely energetic, they can, like a quartz or whatever, can be put on you at a certain place in your body, and the energetic pattern of the rock can be healed, or the stone can heal. It can heal your body. So they work differently in different places. They're targeted for different things like emotional and physical and spiritual things. They try to repel negative energy from the body, and they claim to have a lot of true benefits to healing. And I know my guest speaker also is a very experienced crystal healer as well. And a lot commonly women will go for infertility treatments, and they've met with lots of success by going for crystal healing. Again, if you have a medical problem, you should need to go see a doctor and see what's happening. I tell people that with my acupuncture practice as well. I want to help you with your infertility. I want to help you with your knee pain. I want to help you with your shoulder pain or whatever, or irritable bowel. But you need to go to a medical physician first and get tested to see what you're dealing with here, because we want to make sure you don't have something seriously wrong. And I'm always way more open to alternative medicine than ever before. I practice it, but also if I feel like somebody needs to investigate why they have high blood pressure, I will help them get their high blood pressure down, maybe with crystals. I don't know. But first, make sure that you go out to the doctor to have your blood pressure taken. And maybe if you do need medication, there's nothing like it. We can maybe reduce your medication. That's one thing. That's a goal if you have medical issues. But just don't go to these first before you check yourself out medically. So again, crystals are another way of balancing the energy channels in the body. And people have met with lots and lots of success. I know many people who swear by it. Okay, Qigong. Qigong is something very interesting too. And this really appeals to me because you can tell by I talk fast. I really wish I didn't. I try to slow myself down and watch these videos, and I want to try every week to slow down. This is a slow down experience. This is a Qigong. This is a slow paced kind of combination of yoga and movement therapy. It involves meditation, and it has very big healing properties that go along with it. So this is mastering your own energy now. So you can give your own energy healing by practicing something called Qigong. Qigong is Qi. We know that translate as life force, and we know that. People claim that it greatly improves their physical and mental and spiritual health by practicing it. So if you participate, you have to learn how to do the Qigong exercises. There's a pattern to them. It's good to have a person in charge leading you, like this woman here in the picture. They've been doing it for 4,000 years. You try to maintain the lost balance of the body, in other words, and you go very slowly, and every movement is with intention. And with a lot of focus. A lot of martial arts people will participate in practicing Qigong before they do any of their martial arts practices or fights or anything, or their self-defense. Get yourself in the mindset. And also, so this translates also to healing as well. If you get yourself in the mindset of healing, you can achieve just about anything. We don't use our brain potential nearly to the capacity that we're able to. So they say the benefits of Qigong include, and not limited to, balance, greater mental focus, lowers levels of stress and anxiety, decreased in risk of chronic disease. And we know that they're studying this all the time too. But most forms of Qigong can be practiced by people in all age groups and all conditions. You don't have to be old. You don't have to be young. I always happen to see older people in these pictures, but it's because it really is wonderful exercise for those of us who are aging, because it's not strenuous in any way, but it does require a lot of focus and concentration, and you have to have a certain level of health to do it. They always practice outside and in the mornings, which is interesting to me too, but they feel like being in touch with nature has a lot to do with the healing potential. So you do this physical movement and mental focus, and a lot of it is deep breathing. I think that's where they start their education, is the first 2 sessions. They teach you how to do a very intensive deep breathing that helps you just breathe to the core of yourself and really focus on your mental, your intention for what you're going to be working on, whatever you want to improve, whether it's your spiritual self or whether it's your physical self. but it's gentle movement, and it's a Chinese art that come back into practice and come into the Western world, which is a beautiful thing. I can tell you that this is my own picture from China when I was there a couple of years ago. Adults do this in the park almost every single evening in China. It's what they do. And it's the way they relax instead of going out for a drink, or maybe they go for a drink afterwards. I don't know. It doesn't seem likely, but these are people, this is an older population, and you see a few younger people there as well. But this is a way to help people focus and concentrate and just relax from a very, very busy day. Okay, again, acupuncture, something that I do. It's based on energy balancing as well. It's a nervous system treatment is what I tell people. It's a brain treatment. We're telling your brain, the brain wants to heal itself. You have to just wake it up and tell it, we're healing now, that we have the potential to do a lot of our own self-healing. And once we're in a healthier state, our body can take it over. Okay, I think the form of practice in China is Tai Chi also. There's Tai Chi and there's Qigong. They're very closely related. Thank you, Susan. I'm not going to talk about chakras because I don't know anything about them. I just do know that the people from India for also thousands of years have focused, and that people to this modern day also focus on different chakras, or chakras are considered energy channels in the body, and they have their own system of mapping the body out. And I can just tell you one thing about that I looked up was that when you're working with their 7 chakras, and their energy balancing points that are different focused points in the body, and they correlate to different organ systems. They know that there's the heart chakra in particular is emphasized for healing, and oftentimes, and it's located in the center of the chest. And they say this is where you get some very exceptional healing done by focusing on harmonizing compassion, love, and tolerance, which is a wonderful thing. And so you're adding surrounding points all around it. There's acupuncture points that also are around the heart. And the 6 points, they activate this heart chakra. And the patient will hold his hand in a circle from the body. A lot of breathing work goes on there as well. And apparently, if you can heal the heart according to the chakra system, you can heal very many other issues in your body. Okay. So the future of energy medicine depends on the ability of Western medicine to accept it and merge it with itself, which is always a big challenge, but it's happening. So this is wonderful. We know that Western medicine uses physics to diagnose, and then wants to immediately just have scientific explanations for everything, and it's very disconcerting for certain people because we medical people want to see it. We want to see studies. We want to see results. But we do know that quantum physics does control the body and the energy. And if we can harness it, we can certainly do a great deal of healing for ourselves. I just want to say that before I introduce or read, we have to bridge that gap of Western medicine and Eastern medicine. But it's closing. It's closing all the time. So we know that energy medicine can transmit healing to the patient's body by the hands or from a distance. That's something I'll ask or read about. We do know there's a study that says 57% of the trials on distant healing showed a positive treatment on a mental condition. So we do know there are studies out there. If you're the scientific type that needs studies, if you're the type that just wants to try something new, or if you have other things that you've exhausted all other medical or Eastern practices to help heal yourself, you might as well give energy medicine a try. Let me introduce Orit Reiter before she comes on. Orit is a dear friend of mine. She lives here in Ramat Beit Shemesh. She was originally a caterer in Brooklyn, New York, before she moved to Israel. She now, fast forward to 15 years later, she's a world-renowned energy practitioner and a motivational speaker. Her focus is on something we call in Hebrew called emunah, which is really faith in God. So she's very religiously based on her healing. And there are other practitioners that don't believe in God and don't believe in anything other than a higher purpose is controlling us. But Orit happens to be a very religious Jewish woman. So you'll hear that come through in the interview. She's been a teacher of Hasidut, which is kind of spiritual Judaism that we look for deeper messages and deeper understandings of our world and of our Bible and our Torah. She does emails every day. She has 2 websites. One is on energy healing, and one is called Daily Dose of Emunah, which is a daily dose, thinking about all the things that help us bring us into our faith into God. She offers a one-on-one Amuna energy therapy course and also healing sessions. She says people come to her all the time to help improve their marital relations, to release emotional trauma, increase their inner peace, expanding spiritual growth and fulfillment, reducing anxiety and fears. And she, not just religious. They don't. People just don't come to her for just religious reasons. They come for all these other physical ailments as well: rehabilitation, emotional, physical, and spiritual problems, and strengthening self-love. She regularly teaches in Israel and travels often abroad to educate others. She's got a big conference coming up in Florida, she'll tell us about. And she passionately believes that her ability to guide and empower others by strengthening their reliance in themselves and in God will fortify them with the essential tools to live a purposeful life and to heal themselves. Well, without further ado, here's Orit. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today, Orit. I'm so excited to interview you because this is such a fascinating topic and I know very little about it. And in fact, I've been sort of resistant to it for years because coming from that straight medical model that I came from, I was never your earth mother and your nature lady and your energy lady for years until I had to find an alternative to help people heal. And that's why I'm drawn to learning alternative medicine. I knew about it, but I really didn't know much at all. And so I'm grateful that I should have opened my eyes to that even in later years. But we do know that everything in this universe is comprised of molecules that are vibrating, various frequencies in our body. And we know that if things are out of balance, if things aren't flowing well, this is what I tell people in acupuncture too, that it can materialize into physical ailments and pains and sickness and disease and depression and other things. So we know to maintain our vibrant health, our body needs to have this energy flow freely. So that brings you into the picture. And if you could please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in what we call energy healing and what is it anyway and how does it help us?
Oh, great. Well, first of all, thank you so much. This is really a pleasure to be here. It's also just a pleasure. First of all, your work is phenomenal. I've personally experienced your acupuncture on my own, and I just felt so calm and so at ease in your clinic. So thank you for doing what you do and for going out of the box and introducing this to the world at large, the Jewish world in particular. So thank you. And I'm just thrilled to just be able to, anytime anybody wants me to talk about energy medicine, and particularly from a Jewish perspective, I'm like, yeah, be there. I love the idea. So my name is Orit Esther Ryder. I started off basically the whole energy medicine pathway really came from an Amuna perspective. I'll give a chance to explain what Amuna is in a moment, but about a decade ago, I started teaching what we call the daily dose of Amuna. Daily dose of Amuna is a daily dose of Amuna. What is Amuna? Amuna is the ability to look beyond one's circumstances, live in a mindset that we all can hold, that we all hold near within ourselves, but it requires work to access it. And that is the ability to see life from a higher consciousness, from a godly, broad perspective of knowing that there's an authority above me, named AKA God, who oversees every aspect of my life. And Amuna is an actual character trait. It's the ability to go beyond myself and say, you know what? Life is not all about what I see on the physical dimension. There is an access of a consciousness, of an awareness, of a belief system. I want to call Amuna a faithfulness, the ability to declare my loyalty to that which is God, who takes care of me and worries about me and I had realized so early on, obviously with teaching Amuna, that we needed to go way beyond, again, the logic of the brain, go way beyond the box called the intellect and the rationale of the brain. I started, looking for the ability to be able to tap into what we would call today, which has actually become quite common for us to call like subconscious, mode thinking, right? And I actually had made contact with a Rebbitzin who has a mental health clinic in Yerushalayim. And she, I contacted her. I knew she was using different modalities. And I asked her, I said, what do you use? I know she does like very deep healing work. And so she explained to me a little bit. And I went through actually some therapy sessions myself for a couple of months with her, really going more deeper because, as I'll mention here to your audience, I'm diagnosed with multiple sclerosis with MS already 16 years, which really is what was the forefront and the foundation of me doing any sort of Amuna, we want to call it high conscious, deepened, truthful work within myself to come to a deeper place within myself to realize, well, there must be a bigger picture here in my multiple sclerosis. I didn't just get it out of nowhere. God is obviously signaling something to me that I need to be doing with this and healing myself and those around me with this. And I went to her and she did this magnificent energy work, and she worked with me with gemstones. And I got very intrigued by her healing modalities. And after I went through my own, I want to call it, whooping kind of, 6 months of therapy, I really, really felt a transformation. And I told her, can I have access to those places that you learn this from? And I started learning, accumulating the certifications for, again, gemstone, mineral therapy, and energy work. And now I do also Jewish numerology and all kinds of meditative, Jewish conscious work. And what energy really, as you know, as an acupuncturist, the whole idea of energy means that there's a dimension, there's a force, there's a life force in the universe that leads us, that tells our bodies, our eyes to blink and our hair to grow and the heart to beat. And there's this informational field, which today we know is really not separate from God. It's actually the droplet, the manifestation of godly desire and will and drive it for us to direct us in our lives towards our mission, fulfilling our mission. That we call energy today. Now, again, we don't, in the Jewish world, we don't refer to it as it being its independent force. It's not what we call, the chi or anything. We don't refer to it on that level. We know it's a droplet, it's a manifestation, it's a mode of communication, if we want to play it really, really, directed completely in the mode of Jewish thinking. It's a mode of communication through which God communicates to us, through us, to enable us to fulfill our mission. That's what energy is about. So it really fits hand in hand with the Muna.
Right. So when somebody has, I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but if somebody has a medical illness or even emotional problems, blockages, whatever you want to call it, we know that first of all, we can do things like meditation and use our higher consciousnesses that we hardly ever access because we're so busy in the day-to-day crazy frenetic world, and everybody forgets that they can sit down and you can take a big deep breath, never mind meditate. And we know that there is access to our higher levels of consciousness if we could just put the effort into it, And then they also say, too, scientific studies say we use like 5% of our brain power and everything else, And so putting that together with knowing that there's a lot out there that is there that we can't see because we aren't opening our eyes to it. So that energy fulfills that purpose too. That helps us open our eyes to what the possibility of healing is. Thanks for this healing, opening our eyes to the possibility of healing, and just trying to understand, like, the energy is blocked somehow. And I know with acupuncture, I do think of it more as a physical thing, even though it is energy. I know that there, even Chinese medicine says if you have pain, there's blockage. And I love the way you describe things because they don't say, they don't describe pain. They don't know what to say about pain and like the Western medicine, like pain flavors and all this other kind of stuff, like action potentials and things going haywire. Information, which is also good information, but Chinese medicine says it's simple. If you have pain, something's blocked. Like if it's blood flow or nervous system flow or chi flow or energy, something's blocked. We have to unblock. Like it's a brain treatment. And I always say to people, after all the study and research studies I looked at, that people want to know now more. They want to see something more, a little bit more. And, they know that if you do an acupuncture point here, why does it help a headache and why does it help here for dizziness and here for stomach? Because it shoots a message instantaneously to the brain. It's all part of the nervous system, and it's telling the brain, hey, we want to heal this area now. And so how do you do that? By not touching somebody. That always was a big mystery to me. Do you raise their consciousness, or do your energy is transferring to them, or what's going on there?
Wow, you're asking some really important, very important, and very deep questions. So, right, no. This is, I agree with you. This all has to be clarified because, especially in the religious Jewish community, there is this worry. Even though I have the approval of Rob Wozner, in terms of doing energy work, but there is this question about, well, what are you exactly moving? Are you moving, transferring? Like, it's so subtle that it almost does. It could be thought of or translated as some sort of deviation of godliness, and I can hear that. So first of all, what we need to understand is, again, the Ramban, Nachmanides, brings down that before God brought the world into creation, he created an ethereal essence. The ethereal essence, what we today call energy, he terms it and describes it as it being a life force, that was the only what was termed in Hebrew, yesh mi'ayin, the somethingness from nothingness that was created in initially before the world was created, as is described in Genesis and in Bereshit, was that there was an ethereal essence that was put into the universe, that through that everything else was created. That's energy. That subtle essence that really can't be felt, but yet, is known to be the force of life. What is it? It is the life force of raw potential. That's what energy really is. It's a life force that directs us from potential to actualization. So everything in life is potential. Everything is raw. And the question is, what do we do out of it, right? What do we do with the money that we have? What do we do with the cup that we can use everything for a purpose. And the question is, what do we use it for? And that's basically what energy is. So energy is information that is an open field of possibilities. And the question is, how do we direct that energy? Is the message being brought across to the body, to the consciousness, to give the proper information, that there should be a flow of information that's directing us towards the fulfillment of that which we came into the universe to complete. So again, it's very hard. Even me, I'm like, it's very hard to put into words what is energy. But if we can just boil it down to these basic concepts, it's raw potential, it's the life force of the universe, it's the way that we get things done in the world. And when there's a mishap in information, where the information is not being brought into the body, let's just say, where the cell needs to produce this amount, and there needs to be X amount of bacteria, and whatever it is that needs for the wholesomeness of the body to function, when there's somehow a block in the channel, the pipeline for that information to be brought into the body doesn't get the right information, and therefore it malfunctions. The same thing happens with our thoughts. The same thing happens with our desires. If for some reason the information is not channeling into my system in the proper quantity, in the proper, through the proper channels, then I might have misplaced desires. I might have negative thinking. And also, to address this in the same, voice tone, how is it that could be, intervened and worked through while I'm not in the presence of the person? Because the energy work that I do and that I teach to women and to men to do for themselves is what we call distant energy clearing, which means all I need is for somebody to fill out a questionnaire, send me a photo, and I work through those two mediums to be able to access their information. And you ask, well, how is that possible? So this is what I explain to my level 1 beginners, audience. I say like this: and that's why it's called Amuna energy. If I hold myself clear with the Amuna statement, which I said before, that really there's a higher consciousness, that there's a God in the universe, that this beautiful benevolent God sends endless love and compassion to the universe. If I believe, and I do believe, that I am part of this oneness, then essentially you and I and everybody in the universe, we all have the same access point in this consciousness. And when I start my energy work and I really reaffirm my Emunah, there's only one God, and God sends us the proper information that we need in order to function in the world, I just tap into that wholesome place through intention. Then what comes and arises through intuition to me, through my client or the energy body that I'm working on, is those press points, those points where they're not in line with the oneness and the manifestation and the flowing of information that God wants to send them. It's very, very hard to define, but when you're tapped into the understanding that you're just a composite of the oneness, then that information is available for everyone. And everyone could do this work, by the way. That's why I say you don't have to be gifted, just to be trained how to believe in it and to hear and to trust your intuition that everyone has. But essentially the information arises from within, and you're able to already sense where the blockages are.
So it's interesting. It sounds like you're saying that you have to have the Emunah or the belief and the trust that
Yes.
you can do something like this. And
Yes.
not the Emunah and belief and trust that it works, but that it will be a type of healing that you have access to because it's already within you, and then someone else,
Yes,
practitioner, can help facilitate that if you're blocked or are not able to access that yourself. And I was going to ask something else, like
I just want to also bring clarity one thing while you're thinking about the next question. The main key about doing this from a Jewish perspective is that we're not creating anything. All we're doing is taking a dust bag, and we're clearing off the blockages. We're taking away those impediments that are in the channels of information. So whatever God is sending down, that's the difference between the Jewish and the sort of non-Jewish, the kosher not kosher, however you want to call it, way of doing energy work. I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is sensing where you're stuck in your life, because I understand what it means to be in a healthy mode of consciousness, because I'm attached, so to speak, to the oneness, right? To the oneness of information, which everyone, again, could do. But we have traumas, we have family, tree, intergenerational traumas that seep into our system. We have past lifetime memories that are stuck in our subconscious mind. The key is to dust that off. And then I'm not doing anything. I'm not a healer. Hashem is the only healer. The thing is to allow that healing energy that Hashem sends down, God sends down to every human being, allow that to flow freely.
Right. Okay. So that's beautiful. And I feel like those of us who just really desire this so much, they can come to people like you and be, help us open our minds to this kind of thing. And I think I remember my question is, how does this relate to it? Is it very much like the power of positive thinking, which people are open to that idea? Like, you know that if you project positivity out there, you're going to get positivity. And if you're going to project negativity out there, you're going to, and people like innately know this, I think, but they don't really always admit it. But this is also a Jewish belief. And by the way, I guess that on the side note of that is that, I always felt like when I was in my old previous life, before I did become religious and Jewish, I felt like that was the way God treated the world, was God was waiting for you to mess up and be punitive because you didn't do the right thing. And I realized in coming into the Jewish world that God is waiting to give you all kinds of blessings, and if you just have to put that positivity out there, He's going to give it. But if you don't put anything out there or put negativity out there, it could come back that way as well. But you have, it's really more available to you. Everything good, everything positive, all healing, all good intentions, all good, things that happen. People do the power of positive thinking to earn money, and they do it for, I see in the secular world, there's all that kind of stuff happening. But it can happen even if you don't focus on God, actually, because they're successful too in some regard, aren't they? The non-healers.
For sure. Listen, there's definitely something about the power of positivity, for sure. I will say this, that, we magnetize into our lives that which we need to correct. So we want to, of course, always put ourselves in a higher, what we call positive frequency state of mind, where we feel that, good, we want to attract the good. However, the key in Judaism is not necessarily that I'm going to always experience good and sweetness on the spot. I have to work. The tenet of emunah and faithfulness and devoting our lives to serving God means that I trust that there's a good purpose in everything that I'm going through in my life. That's the basic tenet and principle of emunah, is I know that God is good, and everything he does is either revealed good or hidden good, but it's all good. And if it's not revealed to me right now, that means it's under a lot of layers, which means, okay, let's start unraveling. Let's go to an energy practitioner, start clearing off the dust so I can start feeling that goodness. But what if it's not readily felt as being good? That means that I have to have a powerful driving force to force me, to motivate me, to invigorate me to find the good. And so the key is I have to keep, like you said, I have to keep my eye on the ball. There is good. If I don't sense it, then let me go and see what is covering up this ultimate good that God is sending me. So yes, thinking good is important, but that doesn't mean that you're always going to attract the good, because it could be that the good is in a box, the Pandora box, in a box, in a box, in a box, in a box, and you have to open. It's like when you order something from Amazon, right? It's in a box, and that box is in a bubble wrap, and the bubble wrap is just to protect it. And many times in life, as opposed to the outer world of living, which is distant from God, we think that, I'm gonna, secret of attraction, I'm gonna, magnetize to my life only good and money and this and that. But God sends things to us in many, many packages, in many, many ways. And so it's to open up the conscience and say, okay, if it feels bad, it means I have to now work harder to expose the godly purpose. And that motivates me, and it creates a quench and a yearning for me to seek out the truth. But emunah means loyalty. I'm loyal to the fact that I know there's good, and that it's from God, and everything's good, and it'll show itself up. But just look to find it a little bit harder.
Okay, you don't have a lot of time because you're going to be going to another meeting soon. Give me a story or two, if you can, about a couple of your success stories, if you don't mind.
Yeah, a couple of success stories. I'll just give something that comes off the top of my, the top of my head. So I had a client recently who was suffering from horrible eczema. It was mostly eczema actually found on her hands. And what we have come to the realization, which one of the things that, that I work with my clients, and again, something that I also teach in all the programs, the Hormone Energy programs online, is that I teach them to look beyond the symptoms, right? So if you're talking about your hands, what are the hands? The hands are the grasping tools, the grasping organs of our universe, right? What do we do with our hands? We hug, we touch, we interact, we access, we contact with the universe around us. So if there's an issue with the hands, what it tells me is that there's something going on with the way that this particular client was touching the universe. How is this person feeling the universe, right? Feeling those people, in her life. And what we had uncovered was a couple of different trauma ages where she had, her trust in the world and the people around her had been bruised, to say the least. And so she was really scared to access and to allow herself to expose herself, to be able to really trust what it feels like to really give herself over to the next person, whether it be spouse, child, at that point, it doesn't matter. So what does the body naturally tend to do? And this was, again, through the ages, we sort of came to this conclusion through various different series of session work. We had come to the realization that that she had created like an what is eczema? It's sort of like this peeling off, like it doesn't feel safe. So my skin has to naturally shed off or show its exposure to the bruises that have been hidden in the subconscious mind from feeling and accessing. And there's a fear to access the world and to do things in the world because maybe I'm going to get hurt. maybe someone's going to violate, right? And so when that came to the realization again through the session work, many times it doesn't always happen, but the client experienced what we call spontaneous healing, because the minute the subconscious mind realizes that this was all just what we call survival brain mode, this was all to put the body in a safe place. The minute the body releases the trauma, that access point to that information is no longer, I'm no longer in that trauma anymore. It was in the past, and I needed it then because that's how I was able to survive. But today, I'm not in that place anymore. So therefore, the body says, oh, you don't need that anymore. You're not in danger anymore. And the body just naturally sends the message, no more trauma, time to heal. And it goes back to the regular access point of having good, healthy skin on the hands. So that's just one of the stories that comes to mind.
And I know that you can do distance healing as well, and that's something that maybe we'll talk about another time. But it just seems, it's again, I'm a little close-minded about this, but I've always wondered how you can. I know you can send people energy. That's what I do feel. I feel like I learned that from Schamroth Siegelbaum, and she said, I didn't hear, and she probably thinks the way you do. I never discussed it with her, but I know that you can send people blessings from a distance. And like if they're taking a big test, or they have a big surgery, or they're going through the divorce, I don't know, you can so imagine a ball, and that ball is a beautiful bright light, and you send it to them. And I never ever opened my eyes to such a concept before, and I was so happy to hear that. I was like, wow, what a beautiful concept. And even if it doesn't work, I think it does, though. I mean, but there's like a very close-minded place. But she opened my eyes to the fact that we can do that for each other. So this would be something like that, then, right? You can heal somebody from a distance, even if they're not even aware, because you're positive energy, you're healing, your blessings for healing. And again, even if you don't go through God, if you just send the blessings, and you can have people watching this, maybe
good intention.
Situation is we were believing in the Jewish God and all, which we hope they do one day. Right now, that's not but so you can send people blessings and help have some positivity and healing that way as well, correct?
Absolutely. Everything is intention. Everything's intention. That even if I didn't have the right intention initially, I could correct that and send a different intention. Say, look, I was in a lowly place. I was in a hurtful place, but now I'm in a healed, more healed place. And yes, to be able to see, like I said before, whatever doesn't appear to be good to me right now, it's because I'm not getting the spiritual message that God is trying to send me through energy, that field of information. He's trying to send me a mode of find the good. What is the lesson? The good could be just a lesson that I need to realize that I have something stuck in me. I have anger stuck in me. I have ego stuck in me. I have jealousy stuck in me. It could be that God is he's always trying to refine us and get us to correct those schmutzes, those blemishes, those parts within us that are fragmented. And so he's always sending us information through people that we meet and such. And yes, everything is intention. I mean, we know this. If somebody doesn't believe in energy healing, well, then what's the purpose of opening up a book of Psalms, right? If I'm opening up a book of Psalms, I'm reading it and I'm having intention, somebody's name, that's energy. That's energy healing without even calling it energy healing. Yeah, maybe I'm not using my hands, right? But it's energy.
Well, I know it's becoming much more of an accepted practice in universities and hospitals, and police people have cancer, especially. Because people were desperate, reaching out to something and anything that would help people heal or feel better while they were healing. And then lo and behold, they found out that healing also occurred. They didn't just feel better. They didn't just with their depression. They didn't just feel relieved from, come to terms with their terminal illness or something. They really started doing some healing. So it's a very exciting field, and I'm really excited to talk to you about this. And I hope we can do another session on this, and then you have a first hand on that. But thank you for clarifying all these issues for us. And I wish you good luck in everything that everybody you could go to. I'd like to take a course too. It just started occurring to me that I'm opening my mind more and more. I'm thinking that I should involve this in my own healing practices too, because again, God is the real healer, but the more information or more tools that I have in my toolbox, the more I can help people as well. So if people want to connect with you or they want a session with you, they should look at your site is right there underneath. It says OR, like it's light, OR@MunaEnergy.com. They can reach you that way.
Yes.
If questions or try to schedule a session with you, correct? from anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. And I want to also take just this 1 second opportunity. I'm going to be doing a healing retreat in Orlando, Florida in 4 weeks in the beginning of February. I'm also putting it out there. It's going to be 5 days and 4 nights of beautiful healing through our 4 elements: fire, wind, water, and earth. And it's just going to be an amazing women's retreat. And we're going to be doing a lot of this sort of conscious work, meditation. Gorgeous, gorgeous work. So I'm also putting it out there. If anybody wants to join us, there's still spots available. Yeah. Yes, it's on the website.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate
your
time, and I learned very much from this, and I hope others will do too. I'm sure we did this.
Thank you.
Okay, so good luck with you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.